Hello, everyone. Welcome at day two of the NCAA Diversity and Inclusion Week. Today, I'm joined by the Black Student Union Club and by some of our student athletes. And some of these athletes, they are internationals. So I have a few questions prepared for you guys. However, I would first like you all to introduce yourself. So if one of you would please start.
My name's Ethan. I'm from Malaysia and I'm on the men's soccer team.
My name is Shafar Grant. I'm from Jamaica, but I currently live in Charlotte, and I play men's volleyball.
I'm Ira Heppard. I'm a senior, and I'm from New York.
I'm Cameron Hughes. I'm a junior. I play volleyball, and I'm from Charleston, West Virginia.
My name is Rod. I play tennis here, and I'm from England.
Well, thank you all for being here today. As I said before, I have a few questions prepared for all of you. So the first question is, how is the cultural connectedness on your team, and how do we kind of create this?
Okay, so I think the cultural connectiveness on men's volleyball, I think it's good. I think how we get there is to make sure everybody has that humility and understanding that everyone is coming from somewhere different, and our respect is a big part. So I think we do well handling it. Currently, we have maybe 4 or 5 people who are not from America, who lived a whole different life before they came to play volleyball here. So I think having that understanding from laying down the rules from the jump has helped us find that good line.
Is there anyone else who would like to respond to this question?
Well, I think, sorry.
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think building on Shafar's point about, soccer is probably one of the more teams with more internationals than like American students. And I think, if we didn't get along, it'd be horrible, right? And I think one of the ways we sort of create that cultural connectedness is like, even though we all come from different parts of the world, we sort of look for similarities between us. Even if we speak different languages, there are certain things that we all share. And I'm sure Ira can relate to this too, even as like someone who's from America. There are a lot of things that we share around the world. And I feel like tennis is probably one of those sports too. Like maybe Rod has some thoughts to share on this.
Yeah, definitely. I think the tennis team has a pretty unique position on this because out of the 14 guys on the men's team and the 3 coaching staff, we don't have one American on the team. So it's pretty much we've created our own family away from our family as such. Like we have pretty much just each other. We can't just pop home, on the weekend to see our family. So we have to create that cultural connectedness with each other and build those relationships and network ourselves to build upon our family out here in America.
Okay, I really like that. And Ira, can you maybe explain us a little bit how you see cultural connectedness at BSU students and how you think that you create this?
Yeah, I can definitely touch on that. For the BSU specifically, even though a lot of us are Black, we're all from different areas of America. So with that said, there's various different cultural differences from the different places that we're from. So I think it just takes, trying to get to know the people that you're around and, really just respecting their views and their preferences.
Okay, well, thank you all. Nick, would you maybe like to introduce yourself? You just joined. Thank you for joining. You need to unmute yourself.
My name is Nicholas.
There we go.
Okay. My name is Nicholas Bernard. I'm a junior What else do I need to say?
BSU vice president.
BSU vice president, and I play football.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us today. So the second question is, and just to talk a little bit, many of you talked about differences that you see in your teams and that every person is different and how you come together in that. So how do all of you think that we can use these differences as our advantage?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, everyone has a different background and everyone has a different upbringing. So each person is going to bring a different sort of skill set or a different mindset to the task or the table we have at hand. And we can obviously use that to our advantage because how one person sees one thing may not be how 2 or 3 other people see it. So if everyone collaborates and uses their ideas together, then I think it's possible to achieve whatever we want to achieve.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to share something?
I can share for soccer. Just for soccer personally, as Ethan touched on, there's people from all different parts of the world. So with that said, we all have different styles of playing. So, when you mix all that together, it becomes like sort of an advantage just because people can build off what other people, have and what other people are lacking.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. So how as an institution and maybe your coaches who will probably also see this video, how can they better engage with their cultures, or how can you maybe better engage with your coaches to engage in a better way of players with different cultures and different understandings, different backgrounds?
I think for volleyball, since our team is so large, we have so many different personalities on our team and so many different people that have different beliefs and they were brought up differently. Like, we're not the most like ethnically diverse, but like we're definitely very different people when it comes down to it. And I think our coaches try their best to do like what they can with that, but I think that they need to have more of a better understanding just to like really like feel for certain people and like try and understand where they're coming from when they go to them with certain issues.
And how do you think that they can get this better understanding?
Well, I think they should like make it more of a safe place for us to go to them and talk to them and tell them like what it is like going on and like what we need help with, instead of feeling like scared to go to them that we might be like, maybe not punished, but like maybe looked at differently because we go to them with certain problems, and just to be able to feel safe going in there and speaking to them in that way.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share something?
Yeah, like adding to that, I think Cameron's point is really good. Like everyone thinks of diversity. I know for me, like we sort of default to like ethnic and cultural diversity, but diversity doesn't just mean that. It means diversity in like beliefs and backgrounds, and people from the same part of the country can be completely different in what they believe in and who they are. And I sort of echo her sentiment. I think at least for men's soccer, like our coaches do a decent job of like not making anyone feel alienated or isolated as a result of like their differences. But I think as an institution, Tusculum could probably take more proactive steps towards creating not just a safe environment, but environment where open dialogue is possible and not just encouraged, but like normal. Like it's not seen as like oh, that was a thing. It was like it should be seen as like a normal everyday thing. So those are my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, so today we had this conversation with some of your coaches, and we also mentioned in that we're trying to build a program called keeping it 100, and this is going to be something that the students have every right to speak, and there's no limits to what you can say and what you can think, right? There's nothing forbidden to say. So how do you guys think that this would add to what you say your problems are? Would you think that maybe when you can talk without limits, do you think that's important for your coach or anyone to hear that?
I think it's important that people are able to speak up and get their point across, but in a professional manner, or like a program such as this 100% thing. I think is a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really important to also stay respectful when you speak to the coach and when the coach is also speaking back to you. You know, you don't cross any lines or any boundaries or anything, but you should be able to say like what you need to say, but you also need to know like how to say it at the same time.
You think that a safe environment where you can speak your mind and have the openness that maybe someone will not police you for what you say, that will help you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why a lot of people that play sports like to talk to a third party, like maybe a therapist or just even a friend that just doesn't even play sports, just in general, just to like be able to speak to somebody, feel safe, and know that there's no repercussion for what they're going to say. And I know it's hard for coaches to become a third party, but sometimes that's also, I feel like, part of the job. Like sometimes you need to like be that person for them. Because since a lot of our, like not for my team specifically, but a lot of teams do have so many international students that like they're so far from home. And like maybe the coach is their form of like a father or a mother, like not for real, but like in that moment, you know, you go to them as an adult figure and like you would like to be able to speak to them like in that way and maybe not just as a coach.
Okay, thank you. Ira, Nick, Shepard, do you guys want to share anything from BSU in that sense?
Um, from the last question and this question, I think you said how can we engage? I think we could be more welcoming, and I think we're taking the right steps towards that. I mean, for students from international places, the international club, that's a great first step for making it more welcome. Black Student Union Club, I think that's a great first step as well. And yeah, I agree that there shouldn't be a limit on what you can say, but there's a limit on how you say it. So yeah, I agree with what's been said so far.
Okay. So the next question is, how do you guys think as an institution we can foster inclusion more and use the different cultures and backgrounds? I know some of you touched it a little bit already, but how do you think that we can really foster this into our institution?
Well, I mean, to be honest, like I've done like actual research into this because it sort of relates into my senior capstone. But for the most part, when it comes to sort of encouraging intercultural competence and like learning between students, especially at the higher education level, really the best way is through like first person interaction between the students. Like the best way to learn about another person's culture is really just spend time with that person and like talk to that person and see the way, you know, they interact and see the way they perceive the world. And I think as Jafar mentioned, like things like the Black Student Union and the International Club, those are great starting places. You know, the Tusculum as an institution, beyond just for student athletes as well, but I mean, the majority of international students at Tusculum are also athletes, and it's a big way, you know, creating activities and events and things like that. Like the BSU had a cookout recently, things like that. To just have interaction between students is probably the best way. I mean, it's empirically proven to be the best way to improve inclusion and intercultural competence amongst the students. So I think that is probably the best way for Tusculum to do so.
Anyone else who would like to say something on this?
I just like to say that, you know, I totally agree with what Ethan said. And, you know, I do think, you know, having more on campus activities where students are, you know, forced basically to engage with each other and have those connections will definitely foster a lot of growth.
Okay, so in the meeting with your coaches today, your coach did a similar thing. They answered the same questions. And we talked about the student appreciation event that happened last year in the spring. Um, hopefully most of you guys were there. I know that Rod wasn't there, but what did you guys think of that? Do you feel like you connected more with people who might not have been from your culture or your background?
I mean, yeah, for me, that was probably one of the first time I ever talked to some people in other sports, or ever did anything, ever been in a setting where I could do stuff or meet people from other sports like that. So I mean, I think I was gonna answer that for the last question. I think that's a good thing as well for on-campus activities. So yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. Well, okay. If anyone else wants to answer that question, then great. If not, then we're good. And I thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
man.
Thank you.